Drake isn't falling off, but he's not holding it together either. The control he once had, it's slipping. Not all at once, not in flames, but piece by piece, moment by moment, and the culture can feel it. This isn't about one diss or one rollout. It's about the way everything around Drake suddenly feels like it's moving without him. And that's the part no one expected, because when the most calculated artist in the game starts looking unsure, the damage doesn't stay small. It spreads. Quietly, fast, and now we're watching something we've never seen before. Drake losing control in real time. Drake used to run the culture like clockwork. Timing, tone, trend, all of it. You knew when a drop was coming because the entire industry got quiet. You felt the shift before it even happened. That's control, that's dominance. But now, that grip doesn't feel the same. He's still present, still massive, but the energy is different. It's reactive, like he's watching the conversation, not leading it. The timeline used to orbit around Drake. Now it moves with or without him. And that's not hate, that's reality. The aura that once made him untouchable has started to fade, not disappear, but fade. Slowly, quietly, almost like we're watching the moment pass in real time without realizing it. Because in hip-hop, once you stop shaping the moment, you start chasing it. And Drake, who built his legacy on always being 2 steps ahead, is suddenly looking over his shoulder, not because someone took his spot, but because for the first time in a long time, people are asking the question out loud, is the crown really still his? There's one thing you can always count on in hip-hop. Your city rides with you. Through the highs, the lows, the messy drops, and even the mid-albums, home is supposed to hold you down. And for over a decade, Toronto did that for Drake. No matter what the internet said, the Six had his back. He wasn't just their biggest star, he was their identity. But that loyalty cracked the night Kendrick stepped on a Toronto stage. No Drake, no response, just Kendrick. And the crowd cheered, screamed. They threw up W's for a West Coast rapper in Drake's backyard. That moment wasn't about bars, it was about energy. Toronto wasn't just enjoying the show, they were co-signing the opposition. And that shook the room in a way no diss track could, because when the city that crowned you stops defending the throne, the silence hits different. Drake didn't post, he didn't push back, because there's no strategy for that. There's just the weight of knowing the shift didn't come from the internet, it came from home. And if you're watching this shift unfold with us, do us a favor, be sure to like and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000, and every sub means everything. Now, Drake has always known how to control a moment, a well-timed caption, a cryptic lyric, a surprise feature. He never needed to explain anything, he just moved, and the culture followed. But after that Toronto moment, nothing. No freestyle, no IG story, no distraction play, just silence. And at first, people thought maybe this was part of the plan, that he was waiting to strike, letting the noise burn out before making his move. But that move never came, and the longer the silence lasted, the louder it felt. Because in hip-hop, silence doesn't just mean absence, it creates space, and in that space, narratives grow. The timeline moved on without him, the memes kept spinning, the "did Drake lose" conversation got louder and Drake said nothing. That's not weakness, that's unfamiliar. This is a man who built his career on having the last word, the final laugh, the perfectly timed rebuttal. But this time, the silence felt less like strategy and more like uncertainty. And when the most confident voice in rap goes quiet, fans start listening even closer, not for what's said, but for what's missing. When the silence stretched too long, Drake reappeared, but not with bars, not with clarity, with cowboy boots, with Morgan Wallen in Nashville. And suddenly the conversation flipped from "is Drake cooking something?" to "what is he even doing?" Now, let's be clear, Drake's always dabbled in genre crossing, from dancehall to UK grime to house music. He's never been afraid to experiment, but this one felt different. It didn't feel bold, it felt off, like a distraction, like a reset button that didn't connect. And pairing with Morgan Wallen, a country artist who's had his own share of controversy, only made the move feel more chaotic. It didn't read like growth, it read like redirection. Don't look at the Kendrick fallout, look at this new aesthetic. And fans noticed, not because they hate change, but because this pivot didn't feel earned. It didn't build on anything. It felt like Drake was skipping steps, jumping from silence to southern cosplay, like nothing happened in between. That's not evolution, that's deflection. And when your next public move feels like a genre switch with no purpose, the damage doesn't stop, it spreads. Drake's brand used to be airtight. Everything felt intentional. Every rollout, every feature, every photo dump, calculated. You didn't just hear the music, you felt the machine behind it. But now, that machine feels shaky, unfocused, like it's firing in too many directions at once. One day it's Adonis front and center, next it's throwback jerseys and Houston strip club captions, then it's tour talk, fake retirements, cowboy hats. None of it feels connected. It's not that Drake can't evolve, it's that this doesn't feel like evolution, it feels like scrambling. And when you've spent over a decade building one of the most precise personal brands in music, even small missteps feel loud. Fans don't know what era we're in, what sound to expect, what version of Drake we're getting, and that's the real issue. Not that the music changed, but that the story stopped making sense. Because when the narrative starts slipping, the image does too. And right now, the image that used to feel legendary feels scattered. The same brand that once set trends now looks like it's chasing clarity. And in hip-hop, confusion doesn't just hurt the music, it weakens the myth. There was a time when a new Drake album froze the internet. Group chats lit up, timelines turned into lyric threads. Every drop felt like a cultural checkpoint, but lately, that feeling's gone. For All the Dogs dropped, and sure, it charted, but it didn't linger, it didn't echo, the songs didn't stick. And it's not about quality alone. Drake's pen is still there, the melodies still come easy, but something's missing. The sharpness, the hunger, the cohesion. These days, his albums feel more like playlists. A few highs, a lot of filler, and no clear voice holding it together. It's like he's making songs for the moment instead of albums for the memory, and fans can feel that because they've grown up with him. They know the difference between a timeless record and a timeline filler. The music isn't bad, it's just not moving people the way it used to. And when the artist who defined the last decade starts sounding unsure of his sound, that's not just a music problem, that's a culture shift. And when the music stops leading, the rest starts cracking with it. When the solo records stopped hitting the way they used to, Drake didn't disappear. He spread out everywhere. Guest verses on pop records, UK drill tracks, Latin singles, Afrobeat collabs, viral remixes. At first, it looked strategic. Stay visible, stay in motion, stay relevant. But now, it's starting to blur. The impact's not the same. There used to be weight behind a Drake feature. It meant something. It shifted careers. It made headlines. Now it just feels like background noise. When everyone gets a verse, the verse stops feeling valuable. And it's not that he's mailing it in, but when the output is this constant, nothing feels special. No anticipation, no elevation, just another song in the algorithm. Drake's presence used to be a statement. Now it feels like a scroll, and that's where the fatigue kicks in. Not because fans don't want Drake, but because they don't know why he's on the track anymore. The features feel less like collaboration and more like coverage, a way to stay afloat instead of a way to make a moment. And when the cosign starts to lose its meaning, the legacy feels a little lighter every time. Drake's fans have always been loyal. They've defended him through beefs, memes, ghostwriting rumors, everything. But right now, there's hesitation. Not hate, just confusion. Because for the first time, it feels like they don't know what version of Drake they're supposed to connect with. Is it the cowboy energy? The throwback Houston vibes? The fatherhood rollouts? The late night club captions? The house tracks? The surprise verses? It's not that fans expect him to stay the same. They've grown with him. They know he's evolved before. But this time, the shifts feel ungrounded, like he's changing lanes without signaling. There's no through line, no central voice tying it together, and that's what's throwing people off. The music still sounds like Drake, but the why behind it feels fuzzy, unclear, and in an era where authenticity cuts through the noise, fans are looking for more than just aesthetics. They're looking for purpose, direction, a point of view, because when your audience starts to ask, what's he really trying to say, and they can't find the answer, the connection breaks. Not because they've stopped caring, but because they don't know what they're caring about anymore. Drake hasn't just been competing with artists, he's been shaping the rules. For over a decade, he was the blueprint, the one other rappers studied, mimicked, chased. But in 2025, the energy is different. Because while Drake has been shifting styles, the industry has been shifting values. Suddenly, it's not about streaming numbers or surprise drops. It's about clarity, intent, bars. Artists like Kendrick, J. Cole, and even new wave lyricists are getting love for saying something, not just sounding polished. And when Kendrick stepped into the ring, he didn't just win a rap beef, he flipped the narrative. No features, no fluff, just truth. Raw and direct, and it resonated. The culture responded. Fans didn't just hear the bars, they felt the purpose. And in that moment, the standard changed. It wasn't about who could trend, it was about who could cut through. And that shift hit hardest for someone like Drake, who once mastered the algorithm. Because now, it's not about volume, it's about voice. And in a post-Kendrick moment, silence, confusion, and distraction aren't just missteps, they're gaps, and the industry is moving quickly to fill them. Let's be clear, Drake hasn't fallen off. He's still one of the most talented, influential, and versatile artists of this era. The catalog is there, the numbers are still massive, but what we're watching isn't about popularity, it's about positioning. It's about control, the kind Drake built his career on. And right now, that control is slipping, but it's not gone. Not yet, because the truth is, Drake can still shift the narrative, but it won't happen through distractions. It won't happen through genre flips or cryptic captions. It'll happen when he stops trying to outrun the noise and starts speaking through it, with clarity, with purpose, with music that says something. Because the crown wasn't built on aesthetics, it was built on connection. And if he can tap back into that, really lock in, the damage doesn't have to keep spreading. The comeback doesn't need a rollout, it just needs truth. So let me know in the comments, can Drake take the wheel again, or has the culture already moved on? Be sure to like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000, and every single sub means a lot. And check out the video where T-Pain called Drake to order. It's a moment you don't want to miss. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.